here we are. I have been so lucky as to be blessed with the Secret of the Ooze accessory set, thanks to this friend here who had an extra one, reached out, and I mean, I paid for it. It wasn't free. What are you thinking? Obviously it wasn't free. This is crazy. No, I paid for it. Thank you so much for sending this my way. I cannot wait to get this thing open. So let's not waste any more of your time. Let's just jump into the accessories set from Ninja Turtles. So we'll do an overview, then we'll look at the details of everything inside, and then that's pretty much it. There's no figures to really mess with, but we'll probably put some heads on the other figures. Let's get into it. All right, so on the front box here, obviously this is a shot from the movie. These are not the figures, so we're not getting like a simulation of it using the figures. We're actually using a real photo from the movie. So that's the front cover. Warning, choking hazard 14 and up. We got the top of the box here, which is simple. We got the logo, accessory set, all that jazz. What do we got on the side? So a little preview of what we're gonna get inside the box. So we've got the mop and the apron and everything. And on this side, another simple setup. We got the actual figures this time and what they have going on with accessories that are in the box. So some of the things you get to see in there. We have all of this available to look at on the box. So I guess if you're an in-box collector, you kind of have like some nice photos attached to the box that can really help you enjoy everything that's in there. And everything that's in there includes all of this. Then on the bottom of the box, typical with NECA to actually include the names of everybody involved, which I always love. And look at that, Paul Harding. If you're on Twitter, you see Paul's name a lot because we're all following, and he's a big time sculptor for a lot of this stuff. So big shout out to Paul, awesome dude. So let's get this open and see what we got inside. We have a plastic shell that pops into the back one. So we'll get rid of that top one. We got no glare now. We can enjoy everything that's going on in there. So we got a lot of heads. There's 5, if you notice. That's one more than there are turtles. What's going on there? You get an extra normal head sculpt for Raphael, but then you get the famous scene from the movie where he is tied up that we saw in the box. So one thing to kind of call out immediately is that on the box, you have him with the tape and rope. There's no rope in here, and there's no telephone pole or whatever that he is actually tied up to. So you just get that head sculpt. The rest you're gonna have to figure out on your own, I guess. So let's take everything out of this plastic and get looking into the details of everything that we got going on here. All right, so let's just jump into this because there is a lot to talk about. So we have, I'm gonna assume that you've seen the movie because otherwise these accessories are gonna take a while to explain. So first up, we have the mop for Donatello, which obviously is his bow staff. And then this is actually flattened on one end, so it can stand by itself, which is kind of nice. But then of course has that kind of look of being mopped across the floor. Then we have the canister, which does come apart. And this is specifically TGRI because in the first film it's TCRI, and then they made that change because the C is for cosmic. So they were kind of playing off the comics from my understanding, which was a cosmic thing that was playing off of space and stuff. And for the second movie they got rid of that and just made it global. The head sculpt of Raphael with his mouth taped shut, it is a bummer, again, that there's not a piece of string in here to act as the rope. It seems crazy. I can understand not having the telephone pole or whatever he's tied up to, but the string itself seems so simple to just toss in here, like a loose string. Details are looking really nice, so obviously it's just supposed to be a piece of tape here. Looking a little too raff. I'm sure nobody's ever made that joke doing these reviews. And then Raphael looking a little nicer than usual. So he's kind of got a nice little smirk to go along with the other head sculpts of the turtles, and we'll compare the heads to the ones that came on the Secret of the Ooze figures. And then this one of Michelangelo with his mouth shut, looking pretty good. And obviously all of their bandanas are just going straight down the front, nothing going down the back of them. So then here we got Donatello with just the goofiest of smiles, and Leonardo, way serious, which is nice if you preferred Leonardo from the first film where he has a more serious look. it's nice to have these alternate heads here, so they're not always just having a good time. Here we got a bowl of popcorn, which looks like it's covered in plenty of butter. It is very yellow. I mean, a lot of the stuff is just super simple. It's just, you know, if you're a fan of the movies, you're easily convinced to buy this stuff. And then the keytar from the end of the movie, which was pretty epic, of course, but this is a nicely detailed piece. So even including like the pieces you would have on the back of the keytar, so like your battery tray that you would open, you can see the little hinges in there, and then the spots that like a stand would be used for. So if you're gonna put a keytar on a stand and play it, I guess, I don't know. But it looks really good. Could you add extra detail here? Probably. I don't know what that looks like without looking up what a keytar looks like, of course. But on the front of the keytar, so all the little buttons, you know, you got that Bossa Nova button, I'm sure. All the keys. So the details look really good on this thing, but maybe we could have used more on the neck part, because that does look a little plain. But the strap feels good. See, it's just like a rubberized thing here, so if you mess with it too much, I would assume that over time that this thing is just gonna snap off and that's it. There's no hooking it back on. It's all just kind of attached and molded, but it does move pretty easily, so you can get it on a turtle, no problem. Then we got the hat, which I would guess is from when Michelangelo is doing the impressions at the beginning of the movie, and man, I hate that. I hate having the big old hole in the back of that thing. Can't we just do what they did with the farmhouse hat and just have it like a little bulge there? Or attach the bandana to this inside piece and you just remove it from the head sculpt. And the apron, which is the most doll-like thing that we've probably ever gotten for the Ninja Turtles. This just feels like it's straight out of like a Barbie pack or something. But this is what Michelangelo is using when he is cleaning April's apartment, and then Donatello with this half apron. Just covers the lower half of his body. Then we've got over here on the right, so we got the wax on, wax off. Michelangelo is cleaning the countertop, which is, I guess, super cheap to make probably, to just toss in there. But the good thing about NECA is their attention to detail, and I don't think that we've ever really had a misstep in what accessories are being added into something. So even when you buy a figure and the accessories that come in there, it's like, wow, they really paid attention. And that's definitely happening with this accessory kit. And of course, to avoid any licensing issues on the food stuff, we always get generic stuff, even if it is name brand in the movie. So just a little chocolate bar there. Thermos cup thing with a straw in it. And the blue one with no straw. Those are very simple pieces. There's not a lot going on there. They're just very plain. The computer with the keyboard is probably the piece out of this whole set that I'm most excited for. So let's just look at, starting on the back of this thing, look at the detail. It's got connections for everything. You know, like a VGA connection there. What kind of stuff connected in the 90s? It was like ribbon cables or whatever on the back of that. It is slightly a bummer that there aren't cables in this, or that they're, you know, not molded in like that soft rubber that we've seen done on other things where they're kind of like this. A lot of stuff from the Alien series, you can have those rubber pieces. So it is kind of strange that nothing's connected, but it is what it is. We've got one canister that is still active where everything else is disposed. We get your floppy drives, your hard disks, all these pieces in here look really, really nice, really good detail. And then the keyboard, looking great. I mean, it's just simple. You don't get, obviously, the numbers or anything, or the letters on the keys, but for this piece, it's a great little set. Very much a fan of that. We've got the telephone, which is all functioning, and this is kind of an example of the cord that I was talking about. It would be nice to have in the back of that thing. You can actually use it. Now, one thing I always notice in other reviews or seeing pictures and stuff is that there's a hook on the back of this thing. So you can actually put a nail or something into the wall or whatever diorama you have and hang this thing up, which that's a nice attention to detail on the back of that. But otherwise, very simple. There's no like sticker up here talking about long distance or 25 cents to call or any of that stuff. Otherwise, looks really good. It's very dirty. And you can choose to have one of the turtles carrying it, like in the movie, walking around the... But that's going to be a little bit annoying, the way it's mounted. So it's a little goofy. We've got, what? Ninja Rappa's Born. So the end of the film, look at all that. All these little detail pieces. There's actual like text on the back of this. Crazy. Too small to read with my eyeballs, but I can use the camera. kind of get some details out of it. It's really cool. Anything on the inside? Yep. Bunch more stuff on the inside, so a little more smudged and blurred, but at least it gives a nice look like that, right? Like, so if a turtle's holding it or Splinter's holding it or something, it looks good. And then where the tension needs to be done, look at that. So looking really good for such a small piece, just paper. And then, man, nothing like getting more and more and more and more slices of pizza. My God, could they have given us more pizza? If you bought any turtles, you get pizza. If you buy any accessory pack, you get pizza. But the box is nice. So let's get the pieces out because they're all the same. But look at the grease and the detail going on inside the box. Maybe mine's a little offset, but it doesn't seem like that's the center of the pizza. But it actually looks like there's cheese and grease and stuff like left over in the box. This is awesome. Great attention to detail on that. We've got the generic chips. Look pretty worn out. I wonder what that looked like in the movie, because that just looks like a logo that's been scratched off. Like, this is defective. But there's the back, pretty simple. They're identical, just the colors are swapped around, and then of course it says Ripple versus Potato, and then the chips themselves in the photo are a little bit different. Then we got Toka and Razar before they are mutated, of course, and look, you still get articulation in that mouth. That's great. Any other? Nope, that's it. So the head rotates and the jaw opens. So nice little pieces of detail that you can still articulate, which is cool. So the head rotates. The face has got some gray in there, and then it just fades off into these other colors. And it looks a little weird in person to have this much gray in the front. It looks a little heavy with the paint. So, I don't know. Not a huge fan of that. That's what it looks like on the bottom. Just like whatever the shell piece is that's helping to keep it hollow and just cover it up that way. Nice etch work, nice sculpt work. So I assume paw. Good job on the sculpt work. And then this sweet looking suitcase. Look at that. All these stickers on it. Really nicely done. The latches, look at all this. This is, the detail behind this thing is fantastic. Really like this. All the hinges and everything that you would expect if it was full size. And then when you open it, we still got more detail going on in there. So nice paint work in there to look like it's aged and stuff. And then the sculpt work here for these straps. This is awesome. I wonder what all you can fit in this thing. But I am very much a fan of that. This whole set really is just fantastic. The details, great. Great job, everybody involved. Paul, that's the only name I keep remembering. So at first glance, when pulling down the turtles from the Secret of the Ooze, the bandanas here look like they tend to be a little bit glossier than what's going on from the original pack, especially on Raphael. So you can really see that gloss, the light hitting this thing. Let's look at Raphael here. Really is like absorbing all of that light. No reflections going on. Look at that side by side. And the red itself looks different. It's almost a little orange tint on camera on the original head sculpt. So it's a little strange. I wonder why the paint and everything changed up on this. I wonder if that's consistent too, if everybody else is noticing that. So if you have this set, please let me know down in the comments if you're noticing that the colors are different and that the glossy finish is showing up on the accessory kit. And the same thing with the one where his head is not taped shut. So very interesting. I wonder what's up with that. And Michelangelo, so do we have a difference of finish on that as well? This seems a little bit closer, almost identical, the finish and the color, and no gloss. So I wonder what's up. Why Raphael specifically? I mean, the headband is the exact same as what comes on him by default. It's just, again, you have one with his mouth shut versus his mouth open. And Donatello, let's see, is his the same? Yeah, looks like it might be a little bit darker on the new one, but not far off. Same bandana sculpt, yep. So otherwise, yep, just the expression has changed. Everything else is looking the same, looking good. And finally, Leonardo, does his look any different? So not a whole lot. There's a little bit more white going on, I think, in this one. Looks like it's weathered more, where this one has like a fresh look to it. But I do prefer the serious expressions on the turtles for the most part. I think mostly that Michelangelo, I'm totally fine with him having that kind of smile and laugh and stuff because he's the goofiest one all the time. But with the rest, I like that they're serious because I like the first movie the most. That's probably why. All right, so I'm gonna break, put some of this stuff together, and then we're gonna come back and take a look again. I don't need to tell you that I'm taking a break, but here I am. So there we have it. It's just a quick, simple review. Look, it's a fantastic set. There's a lot of different things you could do with it. And should you go out and get it if you can? Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, this was a pre-ordered item. So if you can find it at this point, it's just if you have a friend and you're lucky enough like I was to get it for retail price, or you're gonna be stuck paying a little bit more for it. So was it worth retail? Absolutely. Maybe a little bit more. That's up to you. So let me know down in the comments if this is a set that you hope to own as well, and what are you willing to pay for it? And if you enjoyed this quick, simple review, then watch this review here where I actually break down all 4 turtles in that review. We'll see you next time.